Amigos de Pólvora, sean todos ustedes bienvenidos a este nuevo año lleno de entrevistas joyita y creo que no hay mejor forma de iniciar el 2022 que acompañado por el buen Joakim Brodén, vocalista de Sabaton, quienes van a lanzar su siguiente material, The War to End All Wars. Joakim, thank you very much for having me today.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, well, let's begin, shall we?
Yeah, sure.
Because I have a lot of questions related. The first one is the origin of the title, because sometimes this phrase is awarded to H.G. Wells and sometimes to Woodrow Wilson. But which one will you say it's the most faithful origin of this phrase?
Oh, we don't know. We tried to look into that as well, and there seems to be no sort of archaeological or historical consensus of who was first or who used it first, because can war ever, there are different phrasings around this as well, a war to end war or end all war. It felt like the correct title. We didn't know when we made the Great War that this album was going to be about the same era or conflict, so to say. But that was the title that sort of felt most natural to us, actually.
Nice. Also, this album serves as some kind of sequel to the last album, and I wanted to know if you can share some more about the making, not only behind The War to End All Wars, but also The Great War, which was the last album, because how did you made the decisions of which themes and which songs were for the last album and for this new one?
Oh, this is going to take some time, but I'll get there.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Well, I think it all started back in 2007 when me and Per were writing the lyrics for the song The Price of a Mile, when we sort of ended up with World War I and trench warfare. And then we realized, man, we got to do a whole album about World War I one day. And I mean, even though we did, songs here and there from that conflict, it wasn't until, when we were planning the Great War, when we thought, and that was like, man, it's now almost 100 years ago since the war ended, and this is in November 18, and we had the opportunity to start the recording of the album on the 11th of November 1918. So we started the recording 100 years after the war ended, which of course was a reason we thought, well, it's a sign, we got to do it now, And then which stories goes into these albums, that's sort of a mix of what stories do we already know, because we don't know them all, It's a mix of what do we feel passionate about at the moment, and sometimes we have to leave stories untold. It feels like every story we tell, we have to leave 10 untold for several reasons. Maybe it's a great story, but we don't feel passionate about it. Maybe we really want it, but we don't have the right music, which is the case for when we did the Great War. We really wanted a song about the Christmas truce, and we really wanted a song about the Harlem Hellfighters, but we didn't have the right music. So we thought, then we shouldn't do it if we don't have the right music, and the music and the lyrics have to speak the same emotional language, and they have to be good as well. So we decided not to do them, but those were the two main regrets. And with that in mind, then when we did the tour started the tour, we didn't finish it for the Great War. We got so many mails from fans, we got books from friends, whatever it was. And there were so many stories we didn't know about that we wish we'd known about, because they were fantastic stories. And then in combination with the whole pandemic hitting and closing us down from the Great War tour. For example, we didn't go to Latin America on the Great War tour. So if we now did a totally different topic, that could make the songs from the Great War that we never played feel irrelevant, because we're singing about something totally different. So for us, it was a logical step to sort of, we can make those songs we wanted to do, but couldn't. The new shit we found out that was amazing, that we didn't know about, we can do that. And if we stay in the same time and era, for us to do a whole World War I part of the set or of the stage show will make total sense. The songs from Great War that we never had a chance to play in Mexico in this case, it won't feel old, it won't feel out of place or irrelevant. It makes total sense. So for us, it was like, yeah, let's treat this as a bonus albums to the fans because of the pandemic, because they didn't get the shows. We flesh it out, you know.
Okay, that's a great story there, Joakim. Thank you for sharing us. Several things I want to mention because of your answer. Hope there's still Sabaton on 2045 for the 100th anniversary of World War II, so we can have a great album about it. And the second, you mentioned that through several fan mails, you knew more stories that you didn't know before about the Great War. Is there anyone in particular that stuck the most in your mind that you want to share?
Yeah, there are quite a few actually. Canadian Vimy Ridge, we knew about that, but we didn't make is the thing. Some of these stories we've known for a long, long time, but we can't find the right music or the angle. How do we tell this story in a good way in a Sabaton song? Vimy Ridge, it's a Canadian, what do you call it? Something the Canadians will feel very warm at heart to. Soldier Million is one guy I wish. Portuguese soldier. And yeah, there are so many stories. I mean, it's like for every story we tell, we have to throw away 10 or 100 other stories that are equally good. It just comes down to, well, how do we feel about the material? How much do we know about it? And how much are we aware of that? Because every country or nation has its own history. And there's a lot of stuff hidden behind, well, language barriers. And I mean, not only the problem of, you know, us not speaking a certain language, but also a lot of the material is only available in that language. And a lot of the movies or, you know, documentaries are only available in that language, be it French or Spanish or Russian or whatever it could be. So that's a problem actually, because it's easier access for us, and we have grown up and we can always access material on events that are, yeah, in English or Scandinavian, to some extent German, you know. But for something that wasn't super famous and hasn't been, you know, 2 or 3 Hollywood movies about, and that involved, let's say, yeah, it's a good example, the story of the smoking snakes, the Brazilian Expeditionary Force. We never got across that until we get a drop in our mailbox from a Brazilian guy, ironically called Wagner.
Great name.
Typical Brazilian name, right?
Very traditional name.
Yeah. And no, but telling us a story, and you know, he translated some stuff for us, but the material we could find on this that we could understand was so little. So it was tricky for us to do, which is a shame, really. I wish, I really hope Google fucking fixes Google Translate real fast so we can read history books in all languages in the future.
Yeah, and that maybe some historian watch this interview and generate some consciousness, because you're right. Some stories and some old text got lost in time because they never get translated to other languages, which
Yeah,
is a
I
shame.
mean, it's all alive with us in a sense as well. There are things about you have never heard of that I read about when I was in 3rd grade. Because it's in Swedish, it's not available in English at all. But it's part of our cultural or historical, you know, heritage. And I'm guessing there's equally, or maybe even more, in your history that
Yep.
every kid in Mexico knows when they're 10, and when they would whip my ass because I have no idea.
Maybe next time you visit Mexico, we can share some books from our history with you.
If they're in English, yes, please.
Of course, man. Now, we have now mentioned books, documentaries, and films. Were there any in particular that inspired you for the recording process of the War to End All Wars? Some films that you might recommend to people who is going to listen your album?
Not any particular in this case. This one is a lot of documentaries. I don't remember all the names, but mostly documentaries on this one on purpose, both for this and the last movie. I still haven't seen the movie 1917. I still haven't seen Peter Jackson's They Shall Not Grow Old out of fear for being too influenced by it, you know.
Okay.
But in many cases, I think the inspiration is actually the stories. Most of this album is the stories we knew about but couldn't tell before, because maybe we weren't didn't know enough, or maybe we didn't have the right music. And it's also the stories we found out, you know. Even if it was a Facebook comment when we announced that we were going to make an album about the Great War, and somebody said they better put this in, and I'm sitting there like, oh, we haven't even released the album yet, and it's, oh wow, how can we miss that, you know.
Nice. Also, I want to talk about one of the songs included in the album, which is Christmas Truce. First of all, the video clip was amazing. It feels like a Hollywood production, actually. And if you can tell me about all the process that you went with this recording, and also, well, at the end of the song, it features guest vocalist Floor Jansen. If you can also tell me about it.
Yeah, I mean, with that one, we wanted to focus on the story, because I think it's one of the best, you know, stories in military history, in a way.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to focus on us, but we have to be in our music video for people to watch it, sort of. So we decided to actually do it the other way around. We didn't make a music video. We made sort of a short film. And it's funny you said Hollywood production, because a lot of people who were working on this film have worked for Hollywood productions.
Yeah.
we did it in Czech Republic, but you know, some of the special effects guys, he's worked with Tom Cruise movies and stuff like that.
Nice.
So, and the director and that team, they had never done a music video before, but they had done movies of all kinds, you know, both everything from comedies to war movies. And we decided not to do so much CGI and computer graphics. So when you see the, you know, the guns firing and stuff, those are us actually firing blanks, of course, but you know, they're not digitally added. When you see an explosion and, you know, us getting all dirty, there is an explosion and there is real mud being, you know, shot in our faces. So it's sort of like a little bit old school filming. So we didn't need to do much computer graphics at all or stuff like that. And
now I love the video clip even more, because I'm a super fan of practical effects.
Okay, cool. Yeah, when you see in the beginning when they throw the grenade and this guy is sort of thrown over the screen, this is even before the music starts. That's actually a stuntman with a timed explosion, and then a sort of a crane with a rubber band that yanks him off. Of course, you know, the cable or the rubber cable that's yanking him has been removed digitally. That's pretty much all there is. The piano is blown up for real.
Wow.
That's a real explosion. We were all clearing out, and you know, they set up the cameras remotely. Okay, all rolling, and then we only have one shot. Get this right, you know. There was no second piano or plan B there. But then, yeah, when it came to the end credits, we have this thing where we call it the soundtrack edition that we did on the Great War. And we wanted to do something similar for this album as well. And with Floor Jansen being, well, one of the best singers in metal, also happening to be married to our drummer.
Okay, very convenient.
Yeah.
Nice, Joakim. Well, thanks for sharing these answers about your upcoming album. Now I have some other questions related to the band, and also some of the things you have done on the past few years, because there's a lot to talk about. The first of all is one related to the band, your online board game, Long Live the King. If you can tell me about how was the creation process behind the board game, and also if you are a fan of board games and would like to share some of your favorites.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously, there is a slight inspiration. I can't really say it, though, for copyright reasons. But yeah, one of the most famous, Risk. Fuck it. You know.
Yeah.
Also happens to be one of my favorite games. Because, I mean, unless you are really playing it mathematically and pushing it, you know, and know the system well, as long as everybody else is sort of, it takes some time, but almost no time to learn the basics of it. And yet, sort of, not properly, but to an extent, real military strategies actually apply in that game. And that's something I like, because when people talk about realism in games, no matter if it's computer games, by the way, I love the Nintendo there, the RoboCop, and
Yep.
yeah. And those are American Super Nintendo systems over there on the other side, right?
Yeah, that's right. One of them is all white because of the cheap plastic they used, and the other one doesn't send sound. I need to fix them.
Okay, cool. Yeah. No, but I mean, we grew up playing games, and at a certain point in your life, you want them to be super realistic. Yeah, guess what? If you're gonna be in a World War One game, you'll be shipped out to the front. You'll be there for a week or three. I don't know. It depended on your unit. Maybe you did nothing for 3 days, sat around waiting, and then you pop your head over the trench, and then bam, you're dead. That would be a fucking boring game,
Yeah.
So, I've always been a fan of, well, a certain amount of realism, or fantasy for that matter, but at least some sort of thing. For example, one of my favorite game series of all times is XCOM, even the new later ones. I really fucking love that,
Nice.
And yeah, latest games I played through and completed a second time actually now before Christmas was Gears Tactics.
I love that game.
Yeah, me too. They really got it right with the whole. It's a bit more freeform than the XCOM
Yeah.
thing. So yeah, when it comes to those games, we're lucky in that sense. Everybody in the band is a gamer to some extent. Some are more hardcore, some are more casual. I guess somewhere in the middle. I don't have much time to play when I'm at home, so most of my gaming is done on tour. So all of the online games that I would actually like to play are sort of out of the question, because they require a stable internet connection. And you don't have a stable internet connection on a fucking tour bus, But I would love to get into EVE Online, for example, which I've tried several times.
But it's interesting to know that even on your video game taste, you like strategy because you love XCOM and you mentioned Gears Tactics. Are there any other genres you like besides those?
Yeah, actually, they're both available on the Oculus Quest and also on iOS games like The Room, escape game things, also in real life. But other than that, yeah, I used to be, local area champion of rocket jumps on the Quake 2 days back in
Wow.
then, But I played. I started one I really love and still have a warm place in my heart, but it's not the same because I suck these days. I haven't played for so long. But the original Team Fortress, which was the Quake mod, Quake 1 actually, that I played a lot. So I like a lot of stuff of that. I mean, yeah, Horizon
Zero Dawn.
Zero Dawn was amazing storytelling. That I really like. I've seen and followed Per play The Last of Us a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
Really good storytelling as well. And those are the kinds of games. I still haven't played it. I haven't played my setup waiting for me. But when we go on tour, which is why I want to go on tour, I have this list of games and this pile of books I want to read, But yeah, Last of Us. Those stories, there's a good gameplay mechanics mixed in with also a good story. I am sorry, I hate all of these looter games where it's just a waste of time. Everything, the side quests, 1,000 side quests everywhere just to upgrade your weapons to progress the story. No, tell a great story. Make the game 10, 20, 30 hours. I don't care. If somebody tells me, oh, it's a massive open world looter shooter with 400 possible hours of gameplay, I'm already like, no thanks, I'm not even gonna bother,
Yeah, there's no time available for all that.
No.
Now, Joakim, I want to stay here for a little while also because I do want to hear about those experiences you had on the pinball tournament you participated a few years ago?
Yeah, I like pinball. I have for ever since I was a kid, I guess. They were sort of magical machines of noise and fun. And I also found out a couple of years ago, could it be 5 years ago when I started, or six maybe, when I started getting back into it again. And I bought my first own pinball machine. Used one, of course, and started playing. How good it was as a break when I was writing music. That was the biggest wow moment I had for a long time then, because when you're writing music at a certain time, you have the same ideas stuck in your head. You're getting nowhere. You
Yeah.
need a break, but it can't be too long, so you lose it. But you need a long enough break, and the time it takes to play pinball, 1 or 2 games, is usually enough. And you can't really focus on that song because it can be fast enough that you got to stay sharp and focus on that. But you're not totally removed. There is always something in the back of your head that can be working with it. So yeah, I guess it was a good distraction when writing music and needing that break. So I signed up for the mostly for social reasons, so I could go there, meet some friends, drink, and play for pinball, the Swedish championship. And I think I came in 112th on the Swedish championship the first time I
Okay.
joined. And yeah, but the thing was, with me going on tour, then I missed some competitions. I couldn't practice so much, and a lot of the people I was playing with, they took it well. It's not like I wasn't taking it serious, but if I'm on a flight between Berlin and Tokyo, I can't practice pinball.
Right.
And if you have a job where you can, the good thing about that, it's not like a huge investment in time. Yeah, it has to be. You have to invest a lot of time to be good, but you can do 5 minutes here, 10 minutes here, half an hour there. It doesn't have to take a long time. And we all have. If we were staying at home, we all have at least, not all of us, but most of us has 5 minutes here or 10 minutes there, even if we lead busy lives. So yeah, some of my friends got way better than me, and they're now competing for the European championships, and I'm still
Wow. Well,
behind.
hope you can have some extra time some other day. And well, Joakim, other things now. I want to go back to music things.
Hmm?
A couple of years ago, you released a collaboration I really, really love with Baby Metal called
Oh,
Oh My
thank you.
Tonight. I love it. And if you can tell me about that experience with recording with her, with them.
Um, well, it was a situation when we knew we were going on tour together in Japan, and they wanted sort of to thank us on stage and wanted me to sing sort of a sing-along part on. I can't remember which song that was actually. Oh, now I feel ashamed. I don't remember that song. I remember the part I was singing, but it's
Okay.
like a sing-along chant. And I was shot up from the stage. I had a bazooka which fired, and I had a cigar in my face. We walk, you know, down, and yeah, as a thank you, hey, from our support bands, they brought us on stage. It was me and Darth Vader getting shivved up in the air. So and even before we came there, they asked them, would you like to sing with us as well? I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'd like to hear the song first, the demo. And when they sent it to me, I didn't know what to think. It was so fucked up, but it was so cool at the same time. And I
Okay.
thought, a lot of people are going to be angry. A lot of people who are, conservative with their heavy metal are going to be really angry with me for this. But it's fucked up, and I can't not do it because it's fun, and I like singing. And who decides what I sing? Guess what? That's me, motherfuckers.
Take note there, people.
Yeah. So, and they were super nice. So when we were on tour there, we're traveling between, I guess, Tokyo and Osaka or Kobe. And I went to the studio with the producer and Key, the main man behind everything, and we did, yeah, takes, and they just went harder, Joakim. can you do harder? I'm like, yeah, sure, I can go harder. I don't know if I can sing it at the show tomorrow, but I did so many things, and they just wanted me to go harsher and harder because it fits with their music better than me being, more melodic. But the end result was really cool, and they were super nice to work with, and really impressive, that whole thing, how it's put together. It's an insane amount of crew to put those shows together, I can tell you.
Yeah.
It's a big, 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 big production, but it looks super impressive.
Nice. Well, Joakim, for one last question, well, every Sabaton album centers around war and military history, but you have also released some other songs like Metal Crew, like Metal Reaper, where you send tribute to all your metal heroes. Have you ever thought the possibility of releasing a whole album about this, about your metal heroes?
Yes and no. I mean, in a sense, that would be about history as well. But the thing was, first we did Metal Machine, and then we had song titles, I guess. And then we did Metal Crew, which were bands. And then we did Metal Ripper came after that, right?
Yep.
Which had lyric lines sort of stolen from other bands, only, a phrase or a word here. And they're fun to do, but if you have any good ideas what would be equally fun, and Easter egg it, because what makes those songs fun is nobody really knows, is that a band? I mean, when the priest killed a maiden, everybody's there, but when the priest killed a maiden in the metal church, how many people know about actually metal church?
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So yeah, I'd love to do more of that, but it feels like I've already done those 3 ideas, so I need a couple of more ideas of different twists on the same theme to make it good.
Nice. Well, Joachim, I want to ask you for one last favor. If you could send a greeting to all the audience here at Pólvora and inviting them to obviously listen to The War to End All Wars.
Sure. Hello, everyone. This is Joakim from Sabaton, and you're listening to Pólvora. And you know what else you should be listening to? Our new album, The War to End All Wars.